Here he comes, James Vick. And I have a great story about James Vick. James, my man, how are you?
I'm good.
Congratulations. Thank you for coming in. Have a seat, my man. I asked James to come in studio last Monday. No, I asked you to just be on the show last Monday, and you said, you know what? I'm going to win, and I'm going to stick around in New York, and I'll be in studio. And I was like, damn, this guy's got balls. This guy's confident. And now here you are, coming off the win.
Yes, sir. Just like you visualize. When you visualize stuff, they happen. It tends to happen that way.
What's it like having a win like that in a place like MSG, on a card like that, like less than 2 days later? Do you still feel like you're on cloud nine?
I do. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super excited still. It didn't seem like a big deal when I found out I was on the card, and then when I got here, it wasn't too big of a deal. But as the week progressed, I started feeling it, and then right before the fight, the media day was big, and then went to the arena, the weigh-ins, and then when I got there, I felt it.
Yeah,
big time.
And just like being in the locker room, I mean, that arena is legendary. You know some of the big names that have performed there, not just in combat sports, boxing, but acts like concerts, basketball, hockey. Just being there backstage, like, could you feel like you're in a historic place?
Yeah, it was different. It was different for sure, and more special.
Yeah.
And then it was funny in the back. We go in the locker room, and there's like big claw marks on the side of one of the lockers, and they said some hockey player got mad and hit it with his shoes and cut the locker up and stuff. And it was big locker room, bigger than usual, and it was a special event.
Okay, so let's talk about the fight. First round. You can see that have you watched the fight, by the way?
I have.
You have. So did he win the first round?
It was close,
okay.
and like I thought before, when I was in the fight, I came back to the corner and I asked my corner. I said, "Hey, did I win that round?" And they were like, my coach was like, "Yeah, I think so, but it was close." He's like, "He might have got it with the takedown. He might have got the points." I felt like I did more damage because I had cut him already, a couple of different spots in the first round. But he was throwing enough volume that I thought potentially I lost the round.
Okay, and what are they telling you going into the second round? Did you make any adjustments?
Just use the jab.
Okay,
start using the jab more. I can hit him if I just unload the hands. I can hit him whenever I want, and just keep the movement was giving him problems, and they could tell, we all could tell, he was fading a little bit.
And did you know the uppercut would be there?
Yeah, this is what I said after all my interviews is we study a lot of film. I study a lot of film on all the guys I fight. My coaches watch the film and everything, and I saw all the front attacks, the knee, the front kick, the uppercut, all the front attacks, because he stands real heavy with a good boxing base and keeps his chin tucked real well, but that's not going to help him against my knee coming up the middle or a front kick or uppercut. And I knew that those middle attacks would be open, and I tried the front kick in the first round, and it connected a little bit, but just grazed him. And then I kept feigning the knees and like faking them out and trying to go for them, but never committed to any of them. And I knew it was going to be open, and I heard my corner say it, and I threw it. And like right on cue.
Yeah, more to that point, you said afterwards in the scrum that you could hear your corner better than most arenas.
I couldn't believe it because I fought in some smaller arenas, way smaller arenas, even in the UFC, and I could hear everything. Like it was like during the fight, I guess maybe we weren't being exciting, I don't know, but they weren't loud.
Okay.
And I could hear everything. I could hear, this was probably the first time I was so focused, the first time I could hear every time my corner would say, "Hey, 30 seconds, hey, a minute left, 2 minutes left." I could hear everything. And I guess I should have listened better if I could hear everything. I don't have that excuse, but But yeah, I could hear everything. It was amazing. I was surprised at how big of an event, venue it was, and how easy I could hear everybody.
So you knew there were 10 seconds left, but when you're going down, I mean, once you drop him and then you're going for the ground and pound, you must know, like, I got to squeeze this in, right? I mean, there's literally seconds left here now, right?
Yeah.
Are you talking to yourself in that moment?
Yeah, basically, I knew that I'd won that round. I knew I was up on that round, and I'd outpointed him pretty bad. And I knew when I heard my corner say it was. I think they said either 15 or 20 seconds. I heard that, and I started circling, and I knew that he was coming in to try to land something big and try to steal that round. So I was like, I figured it was going to be a right hand, because that's his money punches. He comes in with the right hand. I was like, all right, I'm gonna throw it and beat him to the punch. And I heard that clapper, and he came in, and I threw it. And then I didn't obviously when I go for the finish, I didn't realize at the time there was 2 seconds left or whatever. But I honestly, when I hit him, I saw his eyes roll back in his head when he hit the ground. He was bad. He was in a bad way. And I thought about not even going down there and, just trying to get the walk off or whatever. But then I saw him try to bring his legs in front like he was going to try to, shrimp and recover guard if I came down on top of him. So I continued swinging, and it worked out. But
Amazing.
He was hurt 100%.
And did you know, like, was there a moment that it was kind of unclear on television if you got it in time, if the fight was over, did you know the fight was over?
Oh yeah, I knew it was over because the ref jumped in and stopped, and he's like and then right after immediately the ref stood up, and he's like his eyes were rolling back in his head.
Okay. I read on your Instagram you said that this was not a good training camp, that you had a ton of injuries, and so can you expand on that? What was wrong? What happened?
So my one of my best friends, my teammate Sadiq Yusuf, the one who loves your show, the hugest fan.
Much love. Respect.
Yep. Sadiq, we need to get him in the UFC.
Yep.
So my very first day, I came back to camp Tuesday. We spar Tuesdays and Fridays. I sparred, everything was good, 100%. We did 6 rounds, me and him did. He's my #1 sparring partner that I train with the majority of the time. And especially for a boxer, because he's a boxing-based guy too. And everything was good, and then later that night we start wrestling, and we're just doing wrestling drills. We're not even going live, and we were inside the boxing ring doing them, and the boxing ring has like this metal rail on the bottom of it, and he took me down just on a drill, and we wasn't paying attention, and my hand hit the bottom of that thing. My thumb did, and I'm pretty sure it broke my thumb.
Whoa!
And it was really bad, and I got acupuncture on it, and a lot of people don't believe in acupuncture, but the guy I go to is like a Chinese Olympic acupuncturist he was an Olympic team. He worked for the Olympic team in China for like 20 years.
Wow.
And he has a clinic there in Virginia, and he's a miracle worker. And I went there, 3 days a week for 2 or 3 weeks, and within about a month, I was able to spar. And for a whole month straight, I just hit pads with one hand, hit bags with one hand, and didn't spar.
Wow.
And then I sparred about 3 good sessions, about a week and a half, and then after that, one of my teammates kicked me in the forearm really hard.
Oh no!
And even with the shin pads, it felt like it was. It didn't feel broke or anything, but it was bad where I couldn't even really kick for another 2 weeks of sparring after that. So I basically only kicked about maybe 4 sparring sessions the whole camp, and then boxed maybe like 3 or 4.
So was this the least amount of sparring you've done going into a fight?
Striking wise, I think so. Yeah, striking wise, when I fought Ramsey Nijam, I had a really bad leg injury as well, and I didn't get to really train live for the whole month, and that fight worked out as well. But it's part of it, and when you're in camp, you know that other person's probably going through that too. Like, I'm not thinking, I might have to pull out of this fight because it's not a big enough injury.
Right.
It may mess up the camp, but it's not going to mess up the fight.
Okay.
So you
never consider pulling out?
No, not at all. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, what if Joe Duffy's going through twice as much? I'm not that type of dude, and I'm not giving up that type of payday, just for a hurt thumb or whatever. Actually, when I fought Abel Trujillo, I had some injuries as well, and I maybe only grappled like 3 times live that whole camp.
Wow.
And the rest of the time was just drilling, and I felt better than ever on the ground. And, and won that fight on the ground. So
maybe there's a method to the madness.
No, for sure. My camps have changed a lot as far as the last couple years and maybe that's why I've been able to be healthy and fight more. And I'm assuming it is. And I've been way more drilling and less live goes. But when I go live, we go hard and we do lots of rounds.
I was just going to say, it feels like now you're consistently fighting more. There was a time where you were fighting like once a year because of injuries, bad luck, things like that. So that is a direct result of changing things in training, like just being a little smarter about things? Somewhat, and
it's not going live and hard as much.
Okay.
But like when we go live, we go hard. And when we go live, we do lots of rounds. Like we'll do 10 5-minute rounds of grappling, and we'll go 100%. Or we'll do 6 or 8 5-minute sparring rounds and we'll go 100%. But it's just outside of camp too, I've tried to be smarter with that, and I drill more, and I only grapple back home when I'm going outside of camp. I probably grapple maybe once or twice a week live, and the rest of the time it's all drilling. But I still get a full 2.5 hour practice of drilling and getting tons of reps because I kept getting hurt outside of camps.
Okay.
And this camp, I was a little worried because I started the camp a little bit, kind of sore, burned out a little bit because I thought I was going to get the fight in August, and they couldn't get nobody to fight me. Like I asked to fight in August, and then I wanted to fight in September, couldn't get it. Then I wanted to fight in October, couldn't get it. So now I had to wait till November. So
people just turning you down, right?
I've been training twice a day.
Oh wow!
Ever since that last fight, 3 days after that last fight, I've been training that. So it helps with your progression, but you got to be smart with your body, and I've learned how to do that though.
So I was looking at you at the official weigh-ins. It's been talked about. You're 6'3". You're the biggest lightweight.
The tallest.
Yeah. And was this a tougher weight cut for you, or was this standard?
This was the easiest weight cut I've had in 3 years.
Wow, why?
So what happened is I've had Well, first of all, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little undisciplined with my diet.
Okay.
You know,
what does that mean?
I'm a sugar addict. I have like a serious sugar problem.
Okay.
And I can
what's
eat
like your Achilles heel? Like what's the like
ice cream, and then it's too much, like portion size.
Yes.
Like my nutritionist sometimes after I train, it's funny, but he'll let me eat immediately after training. He'll let me eat a little bit of Twizzlers.
Okay.
But I'll eat, instead of eating just 5 little ones, I'll eat 20. You know.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just it's sugar. You know, it's just my problem.
Okay.
And so I was very disciplined on this camp because, for one thing, you know, I work with George Lockhart, and I was worried that he wasn't going to be able to come.
Okay.
Because he's so busy and been working with so many people. I was worried he wasn't going to be able to come, and then he had Tyler come out and help us, which Tyler was great.
Tyler's awesome. Tyler Minton.
Very good. Yep. Yes. And I was worried about that, so I was like, oh, I got. And then about a month before the fight, I started having really bad tendonitis in my knees, and I've never had knee problems in my life. And it's just nothing serious, but just something I need to rest, but I didn't have time to rest. So I was running to keep my weight down, and there was no more running. I couldn't run for the last month, and I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do? Like, because the last week before the fight is when I do like a bunch of heavy runs to get the weight down. And I was worried about that. I was so worried, so I was super disciplined on my diet. And I normally get to, the last 2 or 3 I've got to the event on Tuesday before the weigh-in, I've got there at 176.
Wow.
Which is big.
That's insane.
And this time, but it's not, there's other guys that get in there that big too, whether they're saying it or not. I mean, these other guys are walking around 190 also, you know what I'm saying? They're not, I mean, Kevin Lee openly admitted he walks around 195. Chiesa said they walk around 195. I mean, I'm not the only one, I'm just tall.
No. Yeah.
But I got there this time at 172, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a breeze. I was super happy. And it wasn't easy, obviously, but it was way easier than usual. It still was.
How do you feel in that moment? Like on that Friday morning, are you completely out of it? Like
this one, I was good.
I was looking at your head; it was a little bit sunken in there. I mean, I guess that's just a product of.
But it wasn't as bad as some of the other ones. Like probably the worst weight cut I had, which actually I think was probably one of my best fights, and it was definitely the worst weight cut I ever had, was when I fought Glyco Franca in Vegas.
Okay. And
I felt like that was one of my best fights because I showcased all my skills, and I went the full distance, and I looked very good. And that was one of the worst weight cuts I ever had in my life.
How bad was it?
It was bad.
Bad?
It was bad. Like I passed out bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it was bad.
How did they revive you?
But no, I mean, I like just fainted for a second, and then I came back. I didn't like die or anything, guys. But after that, it was crazy because then, but as long as, you know, I believe in George Lockhart, I believe in his system and everything, and I'm not gonna blame him for me coming in heavy because I cheated my diet. You know, that was my fault. And I took responsibility for it, but I listened to what he said with the reload, and I did everything he said, and drunk and ate what he told me to after the weigh-in, and you know, there's certain things he won't allow you to eat before the fights. But you know, after the weigh-in and before the fight, within that time period, there's certain things you're not allowed to eat. I listened to what he said. I don't know the reasons, but obviously he don't like no dairy products and no red meats, and you know, he obviously wants a lot of soy sauce, salt, sodium, rice, you know, chicken, stuff like that. But I listened to what he said, and it was. I felt amazing. Even though I had such a hard weight cut when I fought, I felt good, and my cardio was good, 3 rounds, and tons of volume on my strikes.
How much do you weigh on Saturday?
I think I weighed on Saturday about 178.
Okay. Is that typical? That amount of weight that you had?
Much,
wow, that's just amazing.
22.
Do you think eventually you'll move up to 170?
Yeah. Eventually, you know, my goal is to be a world champion within the next year. Yeah. Which I got to get somebody to fight me, you know, to get that. My goal is to be a world champion by sometime around this next year, by this time next year, hopefully.
Okay.
Is to be a world champion, which is hard to do in my division because even if you're winning, you got to get people to fight you, and then you got to get fights. You know, they got to fit it in. And then, you know, my goal is to win that and defend it once or twice and then move up.
Okay.
That's my plan.
The goal.
That's my plan.
Yeah. Get rid of, okay. So it's become sort of like a tradition now with you. You win impressively, then you get on the mic and you call everyone out and you tell us how frustrated you are. And you took advantage of the moment. I mean, it was great. I love what you said. Like, you know who I am. You know.
Yeah, man, this is ridiculous, Ariel. I mean, these guys know exactly who the fuck I am. I have a better record. Like I feel like a douchebag just saying my record over and over again.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 8-1. Like, but I mean, how many of these guys are 8-1? I literally have a better winning percentage than 90% of the UFC. They know exactly who the fuck I am, and they're acting like they don't because I understand. I'm not delusional that I'm in the deepest weight class in the UFC, and I understand that I'm at a high risk, low reward situation right now. Like I'm the highest risk they can take.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna whip them all. I'm gonna beat them all. And of course they're taking a huge risk on fighting me, but my name isn't quite big enough yet. So of course I'm not saying that. They're avoiding me, I mean, necessarily because they're scared, but they're afraid of losing, and they're afraid of losing their spot. They're not afraid of me, the guy, the fighter, James Vick, but they're afraid of what I could do, what losing to me would do to their career. 100% they're afraid of it.
So you need now, like, you need the Cerrone to your Darren Till. You need that veteran guy to step up and actually fight you, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you think, so you've set your sights on the Pettis-Poirier fight. That's the one you want, right? The winner of that one?
I do, but I don't think those guys are going to fight me. I mean, so? I just watched the countdown show with them, and Poirier's talking about, oh, I beat Pettis, I'm going to get a title. I should get a title shot. I mean, I get his logic. You know, I'm not hating on any of these guys, man. There's a big enough pie for everyone. I just want my piece. Sure. You know, I get his logic that he realistically did just beat Eddie Alvarez, and he should be getting a title fight because of that. That's his logic or whatever. But to beat Anthony Pettis, you get a title fight, a dude who's lost 4 out of his last 5 fights or 4 out of his last 6 fights, and he comes in, which to me is a complete joke. They ranked me number 15 in the world at one point for a week. And then Justin Gaethje comes in and beats a dude who's lost 4 out of his last 5, has one win in the UFC. Justin Gaethje has one, and matter of fact, he was talking shit to me about me on Twitter. So yeah, I'm gonna go off on him a little bit too. Okay. Yeah, he started popping off before I got on the mic. He's talking about, oh yeah, this guy's about to get on the mic and say how everyone's ducking him, everyone's afraid of him. Well, what do you want me to lie?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking all that shit, but you wasn't saying nothing when I was calling you out on fight night. When he won his fight, I walked right up to Sean Shelby. Me and Poirier both did. Walked right up and said, we want to fight Gaethje. And then 2 days later, the UFC sets him next to me. And obviously, we're not going to start any, I'm not going to start any drama. I just now got on their good side where they're flying me places. Yeah. So I'm not trying to start any drama or whatever. And it ain't personal. But the dude's saying all that. But then you've beat one guy in the UFC, and every other guy that you fought outside of this organization wouldn't even be ranked in the top fucking 40. Every guy that he beat outside of the UFC, these guys wouldn't even be ranked in the top 40, and you're acting like you're the baddest fighter in the world. What a fucking joke, dude. You know, so he's talking all that shit. Well, fight me then. You know, you're sitting there saying, oh, well, of course you're going to say I'm not worthy to fight you when I have 7 more UFC wins than you have, and the combined record of the guys you fought outside of this organization is probably not very good. I haven't looked them all up, but I obviously know that those guys wouldn't even be a top contender in the UFC. So the Pettis thing, you know, yeah, I want to fight, but I was talking about Pettis with how they ranked him. He beat Jim Miller, who was ranked 10 spots below me, and then because he's a former world champion, they rank him number 13 in the world when he's lost 4 out of his last 6 fights. Well, out with the old, in with the new. Yeah. You know, I mean, come on, dude. Out with the old, in with the new. I understand you're a world champion. I understand this is a business, but I mean, in my mind, I'm a world champion, and I'm performing like a world champion. And I'm beating dude. Joe Duffy hadn't been finished by. He was 16-2. That's a phenomenal MMA record. Yeah. He hadn't been finished. He hadn't been knocked out by anybody, and I knocked him out. You know, all these guys want to say, "Oh, you haven't beat nobody. You haven't did." I mean, I beat him. You know, I'm not going to get up here and try to fight McGregor and all that. I know that that's unrealistically. I can't even get a number 15 guy to fight me. How am I going to get McGregor to fight me? I'm not going to be stupid and say anything like that. But Joe Duffy beat him. Yeah. You know, you got Tony Ferguson. In my mind, I'd whip Tony Ferguson's ass. Tony Ferguson, look at our competition we fought. They're going to say, oh, well, you haven't fought. I mean, I smoked Abel Trujillo twice as easy as he did. I mean, Abel Trujillo took him down 3 times and dropped him twice. And to say that I'm not worthy and skill level wise, because all these people, their whole saving grace where they don't have to fight me is because I got a top 10 fight before and I lost. That's their whole thing. Well, first of all, most of these guys have got multiple top 10 opportunities, or they lose and then they're grandfathered in because they have names and they stay there. It really is a joke, you know. I mean, it's time. That's my 3rd finish in a row. It's time for another chance. Yeah. If God forbid, I get another chance and I blow it, then I'll go back to the back of the ladder and I'll lose, and I'll win 2 or 3 more fights, and I'll come back and say something after that. But it's time for me to get another chance. I mean, this is a joke, man.
It is. Have you ever looked at who ranks, like who's a part of the UFC rankings?
I have no idea. I don't know who it is.
With all due respect to those guys, like I don't even know who those people are. There are people who don't go to events. The whole thing started because Fox wanted, when they promoted the shows, like, oh, number 3 versus number 2, like they just wanted another way to people. Like the UFC has always been against rankings because they didn't want the fighters and the managers to start like, squabbling. And so they asked all the media to do it, but most of the media said no. I don't want, because it's a conflict of interest. Like they would take Nate Diaz out because they were mad at him, but they'd keep Dominic Cruz in for 3 years, even though he was injured. It was just a weird thing to be a part of. So only like 10 people have remained. And I don't know if they know anything about MMA. So like, I feel bad for someone like you who's getting so worked up over the fact that you can't even crack it, when the people who are determining this, again, with all due respect to them, they may be nice people, don't really know the sport that well. And that's just the truth, because I don't see them at events. I don't see them covering the sport. I mean, they're like radio people, not like actual MMA media. And it's messed up that fighters are using this against you, saying like, oh, you're not ranked, when you should be ranked. You know what I mean?
I should be ranked.
The whole system is broken.
This is another thing. A lot of people, I guess people watching and tuning in right now, if they haven't followed my career, they don't remember is I grew up in the UFC. In my mind, I've earned this right more than most of these people have, because I only had 4 pro fights when I got in the UFC. I was professional for 8 months when I got on the Ultimate Fighter. 8 months, that was it. And I had 4 pro fights all within 3 months. And then I got a little injury and I had to chill, and then I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter and I made the show. And so that was my 8th win in the UFC, my 9th fight in the UFC. And some of these guys coming in, don't have half those many fights in the UFC or half those many wins in the UFC. So I've earned this right to be here. It's been a long 5 years. I've had a lot of injuries. I've worked a full-time job half the time I've been in the UFC. Wow. Just this last couple years have I been able to finally train full-time and do stuff. I hear all these people, talking about, oh, I just need a can. Well, guess what? I did it. I was beating all these guys. I mean, realistically, I've been fighting for probably a good half the time some of these guys have. I mean, I've been fighting for about 10 years now, but I've had 4 major surgeries. I've had
what were they?
I've had 2 shoulder surgeries, hand surgery, and hip surgery.
Damn.
So I've had four. Yeah.
How'd you injure your hip?
I don't know, man. I think it was just accumulation, because before I fought Jake Matthews, I started feeling a real like pain in my groin, and I thought I pulled my groin. It was like 3 weeks out, and I just kept kicking. I was like, well, what can you do? You gotta go through the camp. And after the fight was over, I came back home and I got an MRI, and they said it was my hip, and I was like, oh man, they said you gotta have surgery. I wanted to cry. Wow. Because that was my 4th surgery. Yeah. And then, I've had the surgeries, I've had a bunch of other injuries that didn't require surgery, but injuries, and everyone has injuries, but not everyone's had major surgeries like that either, though. I know a lot of fighters that haven't had any, and I've worked a full-time job half this time.
What was your job?
I mean,
everything, right?
Yeah, I've named
oil fields.
I've worked in oil fields. I've worked at clubs. I've worked security. I've worked unloading trucks. I've did everything.
Which was the worst?
Labor-wise, or just
you didn't enjoy it. You dreaded it.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy getting up, working in a factory and doing, I felt like I was meant for more. I didn't enjoy that. I felt like a lot of people got stuck in that, because some of these, like the oil field jobs, they pay good money, so people get stuck because the money's so good, sure. And the money was phenomenal, but I just didn't feel like it was for me,
So when did you decide no more jobs? I'm going to do this full time.
Well, it wasn't a decision I made. It was I finally got paid enough money to make it work.
Okay.
So basically, how
long ago was that?
When I won the bonus against Jake Matthews.
That was it.
So I had to win the bonus to finally get it, because the Ultimate Fighter contract isn't very good,
Are you off that now?
Yeah, I'm off that now, and I actually you
re-signed recently, right?
I re-signed a new deal right before this fight, and after that win, I only had 1 fight. I really wish I wouldn't have signed, because I would have a little more negotiation room. Obviously.
Why did you sign?
Well, I only had 1 fight left, and I was thinking I should be getting.
You want to fight it out?
I got a good raise, compared to what I was making, for sure. A very good one, almost double.
Sure.
But the leverage I would have had after Saturday night, I should have been more patient, but you live and learn.
Did you think about just Duffy did the exact same thing, right? He fought out his contract, went and tested.
Oh, I thought about it 100%, but then I was like, after that last fight, I had 1 fight left, and I want to be in the UFC. UFC is. I mean, I'm not hating on the other organizations, and I'm always open to looking into it. But I mean, I want to be a UFC world champion.
And you're an expecting father as well.
Yeah, I have.
Yes, right. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Now, when is the baby due?
In April.
Your first one.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about this?
I'm excited. It's a little nervous. We're actually doing a gender reveal.
Oh, that's right.
On Saturday.
November 11th, right?
Yeah,
I saw that on your Instagram.
So this Saturday. So
you know what it is? I've never been a part of a gender reveal before.
No, we don't know.
Okay,
but we could have found out like a month ago.
Okay.
But we chose to wait till after the fight and after the camp.
Okay.
We don't know, but in my heart, I'm having a boy.
Okay.
I'm having a boy. I spoke that into existence,
okay.
and I'm having a boy.
And you're big into that sort of thing,
yeah,
right?
I'm very big into self-help and personal development.
Who introduced you to that?
You know what? When I was in the Ultimate Fighter, we had a strength and conditioning coach named Doug.
Okay.
And you know how they don't give you no books? The only book you can read is the Bible. And, I read that the whole time I was in there.
Wow.
And
are you a religious guy?
Not super religious, but, somewhat.
Okay.
But not diehard with it or anything. But I read that. So I read the book. So I read the Bible and everything. And then the last week, he gave us this book. And it was just a bunch of different stories and quotes of, personal development, self-help stuff. And I read it and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I went and trained with my trainer, and then Lloyd Irvin, and then I saw all the books that people were reading, the Think and Grow Rich, and all the finance and the self-development, personal development and self-help books and stuff. And then I just started studying it on my own, and I started watching stuff on YouTube, and I started watching all these seminars and studying this stuff, and I just consumed it with my life for like the last 5 years, and it is like really changing my life.
You feel like it's changed?
Totally. I mean, and it talks about everything, it only takes 5 years. Some of the stuff I study, like Earl Nightingale and stuff, it talks about how you can get to the top of your field within 5 years of study and hard work and start doing things the right way. And here I am. It's about 5 years since I've studied this stuff, and my financial life is taking off. Everything is just taking off for me.
Wow.
And in my personal life, having a baby, relationship with my girl, everything, my family life, everything is just going how I've visualized it.
Wow. So why are you willing a boy into existence? Why?
Because I want a boy. What guy doesn't want a boy? I want James Jr. We're gonna call him James.
Is that it? Is that
yes,
set?
Sir.
Now what if it's a girl?
Then it's gonna take me a week to get over it, but I'm gonna love it.
No, trust. I just had a girl myself.
Yeah.
I have 2 boys and a girl.
Okay.
The boys are the best. I love them. It's been amazing. 2 boys at the top, and then the girl was last. There's something about the girl, man. It is.
But see, that's a good order
special.
for you, though, because then you got the brothers able to protect the
Yes,
sister.
it is. I'm very happy. So that's what you're hoping for.
I know my girl. She wants a girl, and I want a daughter too. Obviously, hopefully have 2 or 3 kids, kind of like you guys. But obviously, I want a boy first.
Okay,
for sure.
Would you want your boy to be a fighter?
If he wants to be, yeah. I mean, he's gonna train all the time. I'll tell you that. He's gonna train because I think society, there's too many victims and too many people allowing themselves to be the victim, and they need to be taught how to stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
Bullying and stuff like that has existed since the beginning of time, and you can wear a t-shirt and try to prevent it, but that's not gonna prevent it.
No.
So the best thing is to be prepared for the bad people, and stuff like that.
So is this your first fight camp and fight knowing that you're gonna be a dad?
It is.
In May, you didn't know? When you fought at 211?
No, sir, didn't know. My girl didn't get pregnant until July, actually.
Okay, so I mean, just as you prepared, I'm always curious about this, like a father for the first time. Did you feel like things were different? Like now you're fighting for just, more than you and your girlfriend. You're fighting, you're about to be a dad, right?
It felt a little different only because the motivation of that win bonus.
Right.
You want that money.
Sure.
You want security. You want a cushion, and that's why we went ahead and decided to have to have a kid, is because I did get to fight twice this year, and I made some decent money, and I'm very smart with my money. I'm really, all my coaches, all my friends, everyone calls me real cheap. I'm very frugal with my money, and that's why I keep it, and I have it. And I made some decent money this year, and I saved the majority of it, and I was like, okay, well, if we're gonna have a kid, we're not gonna be any more financially set than the best we've been up to this point. So we need to go ahead and do it. And so it's definitely motivation from a financial standpoint for sure.
Now, what are you gonna do about living? Because you live in Texas, right? But your training is in Virginia.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, I train back home year round.
Yeah.
I train.
But will you still, once you become a dad, will you still spend your camp?
For sure, I'll still do my camps up there. And what will happen is I'll probably maybe go up there maybe a week sooner, and then instead of my girl flying up for a few days, like I'll probably fly home like a week and a half in the middle of camp and do not half, but like middle of my camp there, where still do at least 6 weeks there in my camp.
Okay. Something I learned about you recently, you used to play basketball, right?
Yeah.
You were pretty good.
I was pretty good, yes, sir.
But then you got kicked off the team.
In college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Fighting.
Fighting?
You know how it is, yeah.
Fighting with your teammate?
Yeah.
What happened?
It's just drama, you know, like teenager stuff.
So who kicked you off? The coach?
Yeah, it was like basically I come in and it was just a thing that happened, a situation that happened, and
you don't want to get into it.
Not too deep.
No.
You know,
what school was it?
It was just a junior college in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing major.
Could you have gone far?
Realistically, not. I mean, not like I am now. And obviously, it wasn't. I think basketball really, to a degree, I kind of regret putting all that time into it because it didn't really get me anywhere in life.
Yeah.
I felt like, but in the town I grew up in, I grew up in a town of 3,500 people in Texas, a small town. They didn't have wrestling. Alany, Texas.
Okay.
They didn't have wrestling. They didn't have boxing. They didn't have all these other things. So I didn't start fighting until I was 20 years old. And a lot of these, like I said, some of these guys, they've been fighting their whole life or training in something their whole life. You know, when you're training wrestling or taekwondo or boxing, what that is training. Whether you want to say, oh, I've only been doing mixed martial arts for X amount of years, you've been training your whole life.
Right.
And I didn't start till I was 20 because the town I lived in, we just didn't have that stuff. So I played basketball, and it was something I could do on my own all the time. So I would practice 5 or 6 hours a day, but I kind of regret it because it almost I guess it helped teach me work ethic and stuff like that. But and I met some great people and I had great coaches, but it was just I felt like it was a waste of my life a little bit.
So
I didn't get anything.
Is that why you got into fighting? Because you got into a fight and then you were like, I'm pretty good at this?
Well, when I quit playing basketball and I got into trouble, I'd been to some street fights growing up. You know, I was kind of, my dad raised us kind of rough. You know?
Okay.
So
he encouraged you to get into street fights?
No, he just no, but we never got in trouble for getting in one.
Okay.
Like never was I
reprimanded
punished for that.
or anything.
Like never. It was like, hey, if someone,
You have brothers?
Yeah, I do. But my family, I'm the youngest of 6 kids.
Oh, wow.
I used to have a twin brother.
Oh, wow.
But we look nothing alike.
Okay.
But we're just there's different age groups. So that my parents are late 60s, okay?
Okay.
And my older siblings are in their early 40s, and then me and my twin brother and my sister, my youngest sister, are all in we're 30, and then she's like 33. So we're lower 30s, and they're the early 40s. So there's like, my parents had 3 kids, and they waited 10 years and then had 3.
Wow. Are you guys close?
Very close family, close family, yeah.
Okay, so you guys are getting into fights and things, street fights. You're a bit of a troublemaker, if you will.
No, just I mean, I didn't get in trouble a lot, but it's just and then I got out of some trouble a couple times because I was good at basketball in high school, so that helped me a little bit.
Oh, they gave you a pass?
A little bit, yeah. But it was just I was taught to stand up for myself and not put. And we were, when you grow up in a small town, everyone knows your business. It's different than growing up here in something like nobody. You can't imagine it any more than I can imagine before I came here.
Sure.
We drove this big ugly van, and it was like just embarrassing. It was like a hippie looking van, but we were dirt poor. I mean, we were youngest 6 kids. We were broke. It wasn't a hard life upbringing as far as, I don't want to act like I was deprived of certain things, but it was. I mean, we had food stamps, and we were broke. We were very poor people, and part of the time we didn't. that we hunt and fish a lot, and we eat what we shoot and stuff as well. But it was. You got picked on a lot when you come to school and your mom. We walked to school most of the time, but people would say, "Oh, that's Vick's parents' van," and they're laughing at my van, making fun of me, for driving this, for my parents driving this thing, So you're just gonna take that, or you're gonna say something,
Okay.
You say something leads to something else, and and stuff happens like.
So who gets you into like actual organized martial arts fighting and things? Because it's one thing to do it on the street or something like that, but like, how did you actually get introduced to it?
So in 2005 was the year I graduated high school.
Okay.
And that was the year The Ultimate Fighter came out.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the.
You saw it on TV?
Yes, I was like, dude, I could do this. I was like,
you didn't know anything about the MMA, UFC, nothing.
I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, I could totally do this. And I remember growing up, we had a movie store down the road.
Okay.
And like I said, we were really poor, so we had the 2 VCRs, and we copied the.
Oh yeah.
We copied one tape to another, right?
Awesome.
And we would go down there, and I remember we used to always, around Christmas and Thanksgiving, they would do a charity fundraiser. If you brought a canned good, you got a free rental. So we would steal all my mom's canned goods, and we'd go down there, and we rented some. They had the old school UFCs when Vitor Belfort fought Tank Abbott,
wow.
Don Fry, Scott Ferozzo, all of them were on there, right? And I watched this, and we started watching it. My dad loved it too, because my dad was a big street fighter and stuff, and so he's like, "Oh, this is." He loved it. So we would record those things from one tape to another and keep them. We watched them, and I watched them, all out through growing up and stuff. And then when I was 18, The Ultimate Fighter came out when I graduated high school, and I was like, oh man, and I realized it was about to be big. I was like, dude, they're on TV now, and this is crazy. And then my mind was always with it. Then I went to play basketball and didn't work out. And then after that, I went to school for a semester, and I didn't have any competition. I was like just depressed. And I went and got a job, a couple different jobs, and I was like, this sucks. I was just depressed. I had no competition in my life. I felt like I didn't have a purpose. And then I kept looking for a gym, and I lived in a small town outside the city of Fort Worth, but it was far enough away. I'm from a really small town, so I was scared to drive around in the city. I was young, and I found a boxing gym in Weatherford, Texas, and that's where I first, and I went out there, and I was like, okay, I just want to learn how to box because I want to do MMA. I don't care about boxing. And then I love boxing. As soon as I started competing, I had my first fight 3 weeks. I was supposed to fight like 3 weeks after that, and luckily no one showed up because I wasn't ready. But my coach didn't care; he just threw me in.
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. It was a novice beginner fight, but still, 3 weeks of training.
Yeah.
So then I fought 3 months later, and I won 3 fights in one weekend, and won the novice Golden Gloves, and then a year and a half later, I won the Open Golden Gloves, and so I had 20 amateur boxing fights all within like a year and a half.
Wow. And then how do you get into MMA?
And then from there, I moved to a different city with my brother, and I lived with him, and there was a jiu-jitsu school there, and I started doing jiu-jitsu. And then after that, I just tried to schedule everything I could around these trainings, and I wasn't able to go back to the gym and to work out a lot at the boxing gym because it was like 30-minute drive, and back then the gas was, I was broke and stuff, but I would just go over there on sparring days. I would spar, and I would hit bags in my garage, and then I devised the plan. I saved up a bunch of money, and I moved to the city to start training.
Wow, what a story!
And that's how, yeah.
And now here you are in the cusp of superstardom.
Yes, sir.
And that's why you've got this chip on your shoulder. That's why you want your damn shot.
Yeah, I feel like, man, my journey has been a lot harder than a lot of these guys. And I'm not trying to act like my life has been so hard and all that, because it has. And I've been blessed, and I've made my life what it is too, through hard work and smart decision making. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't party. I drink maybe once or twice a year. I don't party. I didn't do that when I was 21 years old. I trained. As soon as I started this sport, it consumed my life. I think we talked about this before. I don't watch a lot of TV. All I watch is fighting.
Yeah, I know. You watch boxing.
I'm 100% consumed in this, and it's caught me up to these guys because a lot of these guys have a lot more years of experience. I don't think people realize this, but like realistically, I shouldn't be beating guys like Joe Duffy and Abel Trujillo. I mean, Abel Trujillo has been wrestling since he was 5 years old, and I never wrestled a day in my life until I started doing MMA, and I took him down when we fought. That shouldn't be happening. Joe Duffy has been training for probably 10 years longer than me, but I'm catching him through hard work and, consistency. I train twice a day, year round, and I believe here I'm stronger than the mind than all these guys. I really believe that, because I believe when I see guys, I remember they were talking about a few years ago, Anthony Pettis won the world title, and winning world title is a phenomenal accomplishment. I'm not trying to discredit this guy, but in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you should be a world champion. You've been training your whole life. Had I been training my whole life, I'd be a world champion also. So it took me a long time to get over that in my mind, that mental block of, man, these guys, how am I ever going to catch these guys? Right. And how I was trying to catch them as I was overtraining, and then I kept getting injured and having surgeries. Like literally 3 out of the 4 surgeries I've had, the 2 shoulders and the hip, were all just from overtraining.
Wow.
The hand just
now
happened.
It all makes sense.
And but I was like, man, I didn't start till I was 20 years old. I'm working a job, and you're working a physical labor job, lifting boxes or lifting oil field equipment, lifting heavy stuff, and you're doing all this stuff, and you're trying to train 2 or 3 hours a day on top of this and just go at it. And you think in your mind, because you can handle it, the soreness on your body and stuff, because you're young. When you're 21, 22 years old, you can handle it, but you don't realize the damage you're doing, and then, a year later you have to have surgery or whatever. That's kind of what happened to with my first shoulder surgery. And I just wanted to outwork these guys because I thought that's the only way I could catch up to them. And now I've figured out I can outwork them by, hey, instead of me going going hard the whole time, maybe I can drill an extra hour more than they do, or I can do this an extra hour more than they do, or whatever. So it's worked out. I finally found a balance. It only took 4 surgeries for me to figure it out.
Better late than never.
Yes, sir.
So the perfect scenario is Austin in February. That's what you want, right? Texas.
I want a main event. I think I deserve a main event spot.
Yeah.
On a fight night, it's not. I'm not asking for no pay-per-view thing. I mean, it's a fight night. It's in my home state. I'm gonna bring some people out.
Yes.
And
you want the winner of that? Is that the perfect scenario?
The perfect scenario.
That's the
yes.
perfect scenario.
And I just actually I talked to Sean about it.
Oh, what happened?
And he was just like, I talked to him after the event.
Yeah,
and he was like, he goes, you know, I got. He goes, we got to find you the right dance partner. Basically, you got to find someone big enough to help headline the card.
So he's down.
And then I just got a text from him while I was here in your studio. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna touch base with you next week. We're gonna sit down and talk after this Norfolk card."
Okay. Oh wow.
So we'll see.
So he's down with the idea of you headlining.
I'm hoping.
Seems like
I think so. I'm hoping.
They're finally waking up here. They're finally coming around.
Yeah, I mean, how many you got to win? How many do you got to win?
But you do have to be a little vocal, right? I mean, it is working. I feel like now that you're kind of coming out there and saying what you want.
It's helping. And, you know, I'm always a confident person. I'm very confident in my mind. I'm the best fighter in the world right now. But I really don't try to be a shit talker and anything like that, but I've kind of had to be.
Yeah.
You know, I've been trolling a lot of these guys on social media, and it's not necessarily out of my personality, but I was just raised not to be like that, you know? But at the same time, you know, this is life. I'm 30 years old. I'm trying to be a world champion. I mean,
that's right.
And when I say I'm 30, I'm a young 30. I don't take, you know, look at my fight. I didn't take no damage in my fights. I didn't take my damage in my last 3 fights. Mm-hmm. When I fought Abel Trujillo, I got hit like maybe 8 times. You know, I fought Marco Polo, I took like maybe 2 punches. I haven't taken no damage. So I'm a young 30 from that sense of fighting wise, but I'm worried that the older I get, the less likely the UFC is gonna be behind me thinking that they need to build up more stars, you know, younger stars or whatever. So I'm trying to get my push right now because I'm like, you know, I can't be 31, 32, 33 years old and them finally giving me a push, or maybe they decide that I'm too old and that they're not gonna take me serious because they think I'm gonna, you know, win a couple fights and be out, you know, or whatever. So that's why I want this push, man. You know, I'm trying to be a world champion.
I saw a lot of fans saying they wanted you to fight Kevin Lee, who's going to be in studio a little later on. You like that? You seem to like that?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
You know, me and Kevin Lee are cool. You know, it's like he said it before too. This isn't personal, man. This is business. You know, 100%. I would love that fight. As a matter of fact, after my last fight, I said I wanted to fight the winner of Kevin Lee Chiesa.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he got what he got, which is, you know, I'm happy. Like I said, this is what I said when I talked to Dana and Sean and them about negotiating my contract. You know, I'm happy for Kevin Lee that he got a world title shot. I'm not a hater. You know, but there's a big enough pie. I just want my fucking piece, man. Right, you know, I've earned my piece. I'm not a 2-0 guy in the UFC or 2-2 or 3-0, whatever, asking for all this shit. You know, I'm 8-1. That's literally one of the best records in the whole organization. You know, I just want my piece. And would I love to fight? Yeah, of course I would love to take that fight with him. I would love to fight him. 100%. And I said that after my last fight, that I wanted the winner of that fight. And then, you know, obviously he got, you know, the world title fight.
Right.
And, you know, props to him for getting it, you know, and I'm not hating on him, but, you know, I would, now that he just lost, maybe he wants to fight, so let's set it up.
All right, we'll ask him about that in a matter of moments. You're killing it, man. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you, man.
It's been a lot of fun watching you rise from the Tough Live show and just like steady. You had the one little setback, but now here you are just on the biggest stage, like to do what you did to Joe Duffy at MSG of all places. Nothing short of remarkable, and you called it, man. You really did. So I feel like the next one is going to be a big one for you, and I hope they give you that main event slot.
Yes,
you deserve it. It would be great in Texas. By the way, everyone okay back home after what happened yesterday? I don't know. My geography of Texas isn't great.
Yeah, that happened around San Antonio.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we live in Fort Worth and around the Fort Worth area, so probably like a 4-hour difference.
Horrible.
Safe.
Absolutely horrible, but I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for coming in. Enjoy New York. Enjoy the victory.
The pizza here is amazing.
Tremendous, right?
I got it, and I was like, it was everything that I dreamed of.
Wow.
It just like, it was so much grease on it.
Yeah.
And it was just dripping, and it was just amazing.
Wow. What a weekend for you. You win at MSG, and you experience a New York pizza for the first time?
Yes, sir. This is the first time in the city.
Well, oh, wow. Really?
Yes,
first
sir.
time? Wow.
Yes,
How about that? Well, thanks for coming in.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for supporting the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you, James. Joe over here is going to walk you out. So
yes,
we
sir.
appreciate you coming in. Congratulations. Enjoy the victory and keep us posted on what's next.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Hope you get it. There he is, James Vick, the Texecutioner, stopping by with a massive victory over Joe Duffy on Saturday night.